And starting on the SoundCloud. Remember, you're McFly, okay? And you're back from the future.
Hi, welcome back to Game Mania with me, Erin McFly. Today, I wanted to be talking about the Sega Master System, because last week we spoke about the Nintendo Entertainment System, and now we're going to talk about its rival. So, we'll just get into it really, let's see. So, the Sega Master System came out in about 1986, but I want to go a bit further back and have a look a bit before then and see what Sega were doing, because we don't really hear much about Sega before the Master System, but they did have actually a lot going on. So first I want to talk about how they came together. So in the first episode I spoke about service games. Service games was actually previously known as standard games. It came about in the 1940s and was an entertainment company. It provided like slot machines and like gambling machines and stuff for people who were serving in the war at the time. So they had like arcade machines basically and military bases and things like that. When after the war they changed the name to service games because it reflected what
the service.
The service, yeah, it reflected the service. And then there was an iffy thing about gambling in 1951 in America, which meant that...
Only an iffy thing.
I'm not actually sure what it was. I've been trying to Google it and do more research.
Yeah, try prohibition.
Someone said that they were taxing gambling machines and things like that. I'm not sure, but whatever was going on, they had to move to Japan. They moved their market over to Japan. They were like, well, that's where the next like big game thing's going on. They had like they had service people in Japan that they could go and like sell to as well. So they set up another store there for them. So that was Service Games, and then a company called Rosen Enterprises was the other half of Sega, and they were run by the ex-Air Force guy, David Rosen. He started selling out photo booths in Japan because it was this thing of the Japanese people had to have ID cards, photo ID cards on them at all times, and he was like, well, instant photo booths, money making to be had there, so he set up these booths. Yeah, basically that's what they were, like just passport pictures and stuff. But so we set these booths up, made a fair bit of money, and then later I went into the arcade market, set up some arcades and stuff. Had a
what year was that?
What was that?
What year was that?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, don't worry about it.
I've been trying to find all the years, but it's very hard to pinpoint some of the stuff. So that's like.
Well, I meant like the 50s or the 60s.
Oh, this was around the 60s.
Okay.
Yeah, early 60s. So, but yeah, he actually has a bowling alley thing going on at one point as well. Anyway, eventually, they both merged to form Sega Enterprises. That was at the end of 1964.
So you said Sega was SE for service and GA for
it
games.
was Service Games, Rosen Enterprises, Sega Enterprises. So yeah, that's just a little bit of background there for you. So after this, they had a pretty successful, still is quite successful, I think, arcade business going on. So, you know, Sega's one of those things that you see in the arcades a lot. You'll see any machines with like Sega written above them and stuff like that. Their first arcade game was actually a game called Periscope, and it sold pretty well. It was kind of like a submarine kind of thing. The machine looks kind of bizarre. I'll get a picture for you because it's like this big cabinet with like a scope on it, and it's strange. But that was one of their first titles, and then they had other popular titles like Zaxxon, Super Hang-On, Golden Axe, which is a popular one. It's one of my favourites as well. Altered Beast, and a game called Outrun as well. So just a few of the popular titles.
Outrun?
Outrun, yeah.
Did they outrun something?
I'm guessing so.
No, you don't want.
So that's like their arcade history, and then after that they decided they wanted to enter the home gaming market to try and compete with Nintendo. So in 1983 they released a home gaming console called the SG-1000. There were a few issues with this, one of them being it was released on exactly the same day as the Famicom in Japan. So they were both released on the same day, and obviously the Famicom was a huge success, took off, and then went to North America and took off in North America. So having this other Japanese like system competing against one of the top systems didn't go well for them. That, and it was basically a ColecoVision in a different shell, essentially, so there was that. It used a joystick, which the Famicom didn't use. Nintendo was sort of in the midst of revolutionising controllers and stuff to how we know it today. They actually got rid of the joystick. So,
this is still the 60s, or?
This is in the 80s now, and jumped all the way off. Yeah, I should have mentioned that, sorry. But yeah, 1983 this is. So they designed it to have the controllers like the Famicom, where they're kind of attached and you can take them out and stuff. And then a couple of years later, in 1984, they released the SG-1002. Again, to try and compete with the Famicom, which by this point has established a bit more of a following. It's been, you know, a year. Things are starting to turn a bit for Nintendo, yeah. So they released the SG-1002 with better specs and stuff, came with better controls and things like that, but it still was in Nintendo's shadow. They still couldn't break through that market.
Little brother. Could you just say what a Famicom is? Because
yeah, the Famicom was the NES, but the Japanese version. It got renamed.
To Famicom?
It got renamed when it came to America and Europe to the Nintendo Entertainment System for marketing purposes, and then, but in Japan it was the Famicom because it meant family computer.
See, that's what I wanted you to say. I was like, what the hell is this, man? I'm thinking.
Right, so the SG-1000 is the Sega Master System. Oh, it's not. Sorry, need to cut that.
Okay, I don't think so. We're gonna move on.
No, I got that wrong then.
All right.
So in 1986, in Japan, they released a third Sega console called the Sega Mark III. Again, as another attempt to compete with the Famicom, which is, it's 1986 now, they're pretty established, they've gone over to America, they've broken the market over there, you know. Nintendo are on the game and Sega is still plodding behind. The Mark III is technologically better than the NES, but again, it's just one of those things. Nintendo got there first, and they just missed out, and it just didn't sell. And like, even when they were bringing it to North America, they renamed it to the Master System, like Nintendo renamed their system. They called it the Master System because it was like there can be only one. There's only one true master kind of thing.
The only one.
Showing like their dominance and that. Like, it was the better console, it really was. But yeah, they redesigned it anyway. They made it look a lot more futuristic, a lot more sleek. They designed it so it was like red and black, so it was like really bold and things like that. The console, like Nintendo, they changed the name of a console, a video game console, to a control deck. The Master System became known as a power base. So they didn't like having video game console. It's different.
A power base?
The system itself was called the power base. You can actually buy a Sega power base, which is just the system. So, but yeah, that was like a bundle that came with it. They redesigned the controllers again, so it was more of like the NES controllers. And there are some versions of it where you can they release little screw-on joysticks. So like you've got the controller and like the D-pad's got a hole in it and you screw the joystick into the hole, so you've got a joystick to play with. I'm not really sure why you'd want to do that, to be honest.
You don't know why they won't want to play with their joysticks or anything?
I think joysticks were a big thing.
Well.
Anyway, she's a girl. She doesn't play with joysticks.
We'll cut that part.
Just saying. Fair.
Right. So, getting back on track. Some of the we had some really popular games with the Master System. I'm only speaking about North America here to begin with. because they actually had their big break in Europe. Well, I'm going to get there in a second. So, some of the most popular games that we see on the Master System are games like Alex Kidd, which is a well-known title that actually was sort of Sega's version of Mario. So, Alex Kidd's a great game as well. Phantasy Star, Castle of Illusion. Sega had this thing going on with Disney at one point. I for the life of me could not find anything on it. So if anyone knows any information about Sega and Disney, please let me know because I'm really interested in that.
Yeah, like how did they break free from Disney?
So like they released games like Castle of Illusion and Prince of Persia. Obviously Disney titles did really well. So Psycho Fox, which is another great game, and Sonic as well, which was 1991. And then they had a few bundles with the Master System that came out in North America. There was the Hang On / Safari bundle. They released Hang On.
That's the motorcycle one, right?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I loved Hang On. My God.
It's the arcade game, but they released a console version of it.
Really?
I think
it's no fun because you have to actually sit on the bike and bend as low as you could go. That's the only way to play Hang On.
That's like one of the big complaints about it, was that playing it with a controller was just not the same, you know?
Yeah, do that, because you can see that's not working, right? That's not working, is it? No.
Not the same. Yeah.
Speaking of Hang On, though, did you find out about Excitebike? Don't want to throw you off,
on the Game Boy?
Yeah, remember?
No, I didn't, I completely
forgot. Oh, come on! McFly?
I'm writing that down,
Jesus Christ. Now, next thing she's going to say, she never watched Last Starfighter.
I'm not even going to go there.
Well, it was one of them, huh?
She doesn't realize she has an audience.
I keep forgetting to watch it.
Okay.
I promise you, at one point I will watch it and I'll come back in and talk about it.
But okay, back to Hang On.
So yeah, that was one of the first bundles that they released. The Master System was actually capable of doing 3D. They released 3D glasses with it. There were a few games with that, but the bundle it came with was a game called Missile Defense 3D. Yeah, I don't know much about the 3D glasses either, but they look pretty cool, to be honest.
No, I can imagine they look cool, but I can't imagine being in my house with 3D glasses.
Yeah, I can't imagine it working very well either. Like I read one thing where someone was saying that it gave them headaches and stuff like that, and it just wasn't good, but that might just be one perspective, I'm not sure.
The deal with 3D is that you have to be in the right position. Because if you're too close or too far, even now, it screws with your head.
Yeah, it's not going to work.
Nope.
Well, the 3DS. But the 3DS is not even 3D. I mean, I remember getting my kid a 3DS, and it's like, what?
It's depth, isn't it? It's not like...
Yeah.
Oh,
that's what they try to do.
go in instead of out.
Oh, clever girl.
Right. Yeah, if you look at that screen from like a wrong angle, it just looks wrong.
Yeah.
So I can't really see how it would have worked back in the day.
Wow, highway robbery.
Don't know. There was another thing that was actually out on the Master System, which was a pretty cool little piece of kit that they had, which was the Sega card, or the Sega My Card in Japan. These were games that you could buy, but they're on they look like credit cards. They're thinner. It's just like black with like little metal pins on the end. Basically, they were for like cheaper games and smaller games because these cards could hold less storage. So you could go and buy your big games on the cartridges and then spend less money and have the littler games on the little...
I don't think she understands mathematics. What that just means is they want you to buy both the cartridge and the cards. Not spend less money, but spend more money, because now you can get extra games.
I'm actually thinking that why the hell were we still buying huge cartridges into the, mid-90s?
Because you also have the choice of getting them little cartridges, which cost less, make you think you're spending less money, but you're spending more because you hold less games.
I think get rid of them in the end, though.
Yeah, exactly.
There was things like Bang Panic, Pip Pot, Super Tennis. I think there was about 15 or 16 titles released on the My Cards, but they didn't really do amazing. You can see why, really, like when you look at some of the graphics and some of the titles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So the Master System was actually really compared to the Nintendo Entertainment System, it had a way faster processor and it had nearly twice the memory as well. So you'd think it being like that and having some great games on it too, that it's completely, well, not just at least match up to it.
It's just that it has less games, so, you know.
Well, the games is a big thing here because Nintendo had really strict like publishing rules, which meant that basically any games that got made for Nintendo were console exclusive, which hadn't been done before. So Sega couldn't like jump on the bandwagon. They had to rely on themselves, and they were up against some like quite big like publishers as well, like Squaresoft, Capcom, Konami, Rare. There's like a few more as well. So Sega found it really difficult to get third-party developers for their games, which obviously is going to give them a huge setback there. So it's kind of sad because it is a technologically like advanced console compared to the NES, but they couldn't get the games for it. Nintendo had the head start. At this point as well, Nintendo were controlling about 90% of the North American and Japanese video game market. So trying to break that is tricky. So yeah, Sega were just like on the run. They also had a really small marketing team compared to Nintendo too. Actually, they were setting up at Consumer Electronics. They set up they had a small booth going on for the Master System. People didn't know who Sega were.
Is this part of that Consumer Electronics convention you talking about?
Yeah. So like, this is actually kind of funny. People didn't know who Sega were, and they were getting them mixed up with like a food distributor called Saga Foods. People were commenting how strange it is that why is a food distributor trying to enter the video game market, and people were like really confused by that and stuff.
Well, do you think that people also might have assumed because of the name Sega that it was a Japanese game market?
I think so, yeah. Well, I was actually like American.
No, I know it was because you just explained that. That's what I'm just trying to say, though, is I've never actually thought about the American thing, but the Sega sounds like it's a Japanese game company and stuff like that.
Nintendo.
Yeah.
It just sounds
Yeah.
It does. Maybe that had something to do with it. Well, yeah, the earlier American consoles, we had like Atari and stuff, didn't we? Atari is still in the game at this point as well. But we're going to talk about them next week. That's a different story. So yeah, there's that little thing about them. Why does a food business entering the video game market? So yeah, it wasn't happening in America basically. They were like, we're not getting anywhere. We're not going to be able to push the console any more than we've already tried. So they looked elsewhere and they stumbled across Europe. In 1986, the NES was getting released worldwide. It was released in the UK a few months before the Master System, but because of the huge success of Nintendo in America, they kind of just neglected the like Europe and the UK and stuff like that. It just kind of, the marketing wasn't up to scratch over there. There's actually like a few things as well. So in the UK, home computers were being pushed more than consoles. So more people had things like a ZX Spectrum, Commodore 64, an Amiga, BBC Micro, those kind of things were like big names. Nintendo Entertainment System, expensive. Don't want to buy that. Why would you want to spend that much money on a console and then have to spend about 50 quid on games when you could buy a ZX Spectrum, pick up a ZX Spectrum game for like 4 quid? You're gonna go for the ZX, you know what I mean? Like, so as well in education, they were really pushing like computer education in schools and things like that. So it's no like surprise. My boyfriend's dad had a Game Boy Micro because his parents wanted it to be more educational. So you can kind of see what it was like over here back then, if you think about it. But so yeah, they were cheaper, the games were cheaper, but the graphics were starting to look outdated. And like Nintendo's marketing was neglected, so no one really went for the NES and stuff like that. So Sega were like, well, we've got an opportunity to grab some money here. So they priced down their Master System to £99, which was, I think, about 40-50 quid cheaper than the NES. So there's a big advantage for a start there. And because they both came out in the UK about a month apart, there was a much more even playing field as well. So there was actually quite a high demand for the Master System over here, but that didn't go very well for them in the beginning. They gave the distribution rights to a company called Metronics. I don't know if you've heard of them.
Metronics?
Yeah, Metronics. It rung a bell for me anyway, but they distributed the consoles and the games and stuff, but they kind of messed it up and they couldn't get them in stock in time for Christmas. The soonest they could get them in stock was Boxing Day, which obviously you miss a big Christmas rush, that's going to hurt your sales, you know what I mean? So they're not happy about that. They failed to stock in time for Christmas, you know, like they've had a huge loss there already and it's just a bit of a waste. Then, unexpectedly, not a name you'd be expecting to hear in this really, Virgin swoop in and they buy out Metronics.
What's this, what's his name? The guy who does Virgin?
I forgot his name, but
Richard Branson.
Richard Branson,
Sorry.
that's it, yeah. They buy out Metronics and they become the new distributors for the Master System, and they get the ball rolling and they get it out to where it needs to be, and that actually goes really well. And then in 1991, Sega buy Virgin Metronics and it becomes the Sega of Europe. So there's that. So in the UK, some little plus sides to the Master System here. So in the UK, because people were still playing these cassettes on the computers and stuff, loading times could take up to about 5 minutes for the game to load. Like, could you imagine having to?
Was it like dial-up load?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I've never actually played one. I've got
yeah,
like the cassettes.
You know, it's like the slow dial-up system.
Yeah. I imagine it wasn't like that.
Oh man, that's excruciating.
Wasn't the best. Like
Yeah.
5 minutes waiting for the game to load, you don't really want to do that. The Master System, no loading time at all. So that was a massive, like, ooh, I can just put
like
my
an
game
upgrade.
in, right? Yeah. They had superior graphics to many of the PCs that were out at the time, and superior games as well. They had some great games being released, like I said before, things like Alex Kidd and stuff like that. Obviously, it being cheaper than the NES was a massive selling point for it too. And then one of the biggest things is Sega were able to recreate the arcade experience in the home, and people wanted that. The arcade scene was kind of dying out in America, but over in Europe it wasn't going strong, but it was still going, and people still wanted that style in their home. So when you come out with a console for £100 and you can get some of the same games that you'd be playing in the arcades, and you're getting the same style and the same sort of sound and that. That's another thing as well, they improved the sound quality for the UK and EU release. It became so popular in Europe that they actually had their own region exclusives and stuff that America didn't have.
So what's interesting here is that because you're going through that time zone where last time you talked about the video game crash, it seems like, did you skip over it, or
No,
is this going along the line of the crash?
Oh no, the crash is like, last time I spoke about the Nintendo Entertainment System, which redeemed the video game market from the crash. This is a couple of years after that.
Okay.
So they're just trying to compete with Nintendo at this point. Surprisingly, actually, the biggest selling place that they had was Brazil. Brazil was like a massive breaking point for Sega, because previously they had Atari, and then they had like knockoff ZX Spectrum consoles, knockoff Nintendo consoles, and then the Master System, which was beautiful and stuff like that. So people were really into that. But yeah, that's just in 1990 they released the Master System 2, which was a budget version of the Master System. They took away the card slot. It was incompatible with the gun, but they released it bundled with Alex Kidd pre-installed on the console, and later you could get Sonic the Hedgehog. So, strangely enough, it's not surprising, but it's strange to think that Sega's big success was the UK, the EU, and Brazil. It's kind of, you'd think it was America, but America was dominated at the time.
Yeah, but also, too, wasn't America crunched by the crash, though?
Well,
I know you said it's after the crash, but...
Yeah, well, I'm guessing there probably would have been. It's still a delicate market, I would have thought, because there's still, like, Nintendo's the only, like, console that's come in and, like, saved them, you know?
Oh, no, I think you gotta understand, I'm from that period of the 90s, and, like, You know, video games weren't that much played in the late 90s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It had a resurgence in the millennium, you know, but I think after you've already pointed out the crash, people weren't that much interested in video games.
No, they weren't.
But what happened is maybe it was a generation jump or something like that, but people got back into it. And it became mind-numbing, you know?
It was Nintendo that brought that love for video games back, because Nintendo seriously revised the market. Like,
But they revived the market every time.
Oh, yeah.
In the late 90s, handhelds were big.
Yeah.
So Game Boy was big.
Game Boy.
I want to talk about the Game Boy.
Game Gear was bigger, also, which we actually did have.
Game Boy.
You know?
But don't you think that the Game Boy was probably one of the things that brought it back, but it disappeared for a minute, you know what I mean, in America, which is what I was just trying to say.
I think the Game Boy saved Nintendo most, because that was the only console that kept selling.
Would you know what, we'll get there, because there's actually a few things going on around that little time period.
Yeah, you can talk about how Tetris saved the world.
So yeah, that's just a little bit of history on the Master System.
And it is with you, McFly.
Very, very interesting little console. If anyone manages to find one, I suggest you pick it up, because they are actually seriously good systems. You can get some really good games on them. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Game Mania. If anyone's got any questions, please feel free to ask me in the comments. I will be replying and we'll be checking up on that. Next week, I wanted to have a look at what Atari were doing around this time, because I had a few things staring there. But yeah, that's it for this week's show. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, game on.